Well, hello friends, Mark Martella here for Mark's Money Matters, where I teach you how to break your addiction to debt and bring some sanity to your finances. Well, it's the first day of baseball season and it's already been a good start. The Yanks won today over the Blue Jays with Stan hitting 2 homers, and the Rays beat the Red Sox. So although I am here in Florida and like to root for the Rays, I also root for anyone who's playing and beating the Red Sox. So again, a good start to the day. If this is your first time here, I'd like to let you know that Money Matters has its own website. It can be found simply at markmartella.com. That's the Money Matters website. And on there, you'll find all the past episodes of these casts, as well as my radio podcast episodes. So you can check that out. I also have free resources there. So again, it's markmartella.com. And you can, of course, follow us here on Facebook Live. Now, if you have questions, feel free to ask any questions here. Just type them in and I'll try to answer them as best I can with the time permitted. And so I'd like to get right into what I'd like to talk about today. And I'm in the process of writing a white paper. And the white paper is entitled Credit Lies: The Secret War Against American Consumers, Families, and the Workplace, and How to Fight Back. And one of the things that I talk about in this paper is the fact that there's obviously many tools that are used to manipulate people. And one of the tools is taking advantage of the money illusion. And what do I mean by the money illusion? And hi, Val. Thanks for joining us. Well, the money illusion is a way that marketers and salespeople are able to manipulate us. And the best example I can give you is in a casino. Again, why do they give you chips versus letting you use cash, letting you use $100 bills? Because the dollar chip looks just like the $100 chip, but for the color. They feel the same. And again, throwing down a couple of $100 chips is a lot different than whipping out $200. And people, if you show people $200 worth of groceries in a basket and say, I'm betting that on the next hand versus these 2 little chips, doesn't seem like that big a deal. So the same thing happens with credit cards and with debit cards. Taking out that piece of plastic and just sliding it through, now inserting it in the slot, just doesn't seem like that big a deal. Buying that $6 latte and putting in the card, or putting in the quote-unquote gift card that wants you to keep reloading on, and part of that is they're getting the use of your money in advance. Why would you just, again, they induce you with some rewards, alleged rewards with a free coffee or something after so many, but again, if you're buying a $25 gift card and or reloading that gift card each time once it runs out, you're giving them $25 of your money to use. That's how they make a lot of their money. So what really infuriated me this week was, I don't know how many channels it's on, but again, following the NCAA tournament and Villanova making the Final Four, that's why I have my sign up behind me, but watching the NCAA tournament, there was this one commercial by Apple about no-look pay. And if you haven't seen it, so you have this young looking gentleman, and he's walking down whatever almost looks like a bazaar of different clothing and items, and the ad is to promote the pay with just a look. And so what he does is he looks at this suit, and magically the suit comes on him. He looks at a hat, boom, the hat magically comes on him. He sees some jewelry, he just magically holds out his fingers and the rings slide onto his hand. They're just showing you how easy it is to buy things and not have to worry about the consequences thereafter. And then one other item, he sees this chair and he looks at it and boom, it magically goes to his mom. So again, this is like the ultimate in, getting rid of the money illusion. We're not even at least pulling our wallet out of our back pocket and having to pull out the plastic and slide it through something. We can just look at our phone and pay for it without thinking about the consequences. So watching that, and because I've been so hypersensitive with a lot of these things with, these behavioral economics that I've been studying and how they're used to manipulate us. So if you catch that commercial, just realize what it is. It's touted as convenience when in reality it's a manipulation to get you to not realize how much you're actually spending. So thank you to iPhone, and again, I think they'll make it through the night. So another thing that I pointed out this week that I'd like to talk about is 401k changes. And there were some changes to the law that will take effect in 2019. And I talked about this on my 2-minute tips, but it's so important I'd like to point it out again. And before, you could borrow money from your 401k, or under certain circumstances, you can just take money out. But before, you could only take out that portion of your 401k that you contributed to. Again, normally a 401k has a match, so if you contribute $100, your employer will match $100. If after a number of years you've put in $5,000 and your employer put in $5,000 of that $10,000, if you wanted to take money out for some sort of hardship need, you can only take out that $5,000. Now, with the change in the law, you can even touch the employer's contribution and take that out. And my fear is that it's just going to lead to people taking more money out than they need to and not repaying it, or disappears. Now, again, there's two differences. First, before you can just take money out, you have to take out a loan and repay that back. Once you repay that back, that kind of opens up the door that now you can just take that money out. But keep in mind, that money's not free money. You have to pay 10% penalty plus tax on it. And depending upon what tax bracket you're in, you could be paying 25% in penalties. That's real expensive money. So if you were to take out $10,000, $2,500 of that is going to Uncle Sam. So real expensive money that I don't encourage you to do. And even with the changes in the law, you can even take out money for maybe somebody who's a beneficiary or a family member. And I'm going to be honest with you, what I see happening is parents taking money out to help their children who have gotten in trouble, whether they're behind on mortgage or worse, trying to help them pay credit cards, to jeopardize your retirement because your kids have credit card debt is insanity. Just don't do that. The worst case scenario, if they have to file bankruptcy, so be it. Don't jeopardize your retirement, because I'll tell you what will happen. You take out $10,000, $20,000 to help them pay off the credit card debt, and they tell you, hey, we're going to repay you back. We're going to pay you back $250 a month. Instead of sending that to the credit card companies, we'll send it to you. Well, what happens is they make one payment, maybe two payments to you. They stop making those payments, and those credit cards that they paid off that now have a zero balance, they're going to start using them again and get into that black hole. So ultimately, they charge up those credit cards again. They file bankruptcy, and they're not paying you, and you've wasted a portion of your retirement. So just be smart when you do that. Forget that you have the 401k. Don't think of it as an emergency fund. Create a separate emergency fund. Leave that money there. Now, another feature I want to put in, or I'm going to try to do each week, is what I'm going to call my mistake of the week. And I just did talk about one mistake, but here's a mistake that I was reminded of when I ran into a former client this week, and we were talking, and I was asking how they were doing since they received their discharge, and they were saying great, and they received an offer to take out money out of their house, get a home equity line of credit, which immediately I got a little nauseous, thinking that they're taking out money. So I asked, what are you taking the money out for? And part of it was, well, they needed some money for repairs to the home, and then they were going to pay off their car. So I hesitantly asked, well, how much do you owe on your car? Hoping it was maybe just a couple of $1,000s and they wanted to stop that payment. They owe $19,000 on the car. They have about another 4.5 years of payment. So their thought is, hey, we can pay this off. We eliminate that payment, and now we just have a smaller payment on our mortgage. Well, what I hated to do was point out to them that based upon the interest rate on their car, which was a higher interest rate, but even with the lower interest rate on the mortgage, they're going to be paying that $19,000 out over 30 years versus 4.5 years. Over that 30 years, they were going to pay an extra $10,000 for that car. So they're borrowing $19,000. They're paying an extra $10,000 for that on that car, and that's what people don't realize. You know, a slick mortgage broker who's looking to make his money on his points wants to get that loan up as high as possible, and they'll tell you how great it is. Yeah, pay off that car. You don't have to worry about it. And here's your total payment each month. You're going to be saving so much money. You're not saving money. It's just getting pushed down the road to even more and more debt. So don't do that. And then the worst thing is to pay off credit cards. Just like I said in the 401k example, if you do it yourself, and again, I'm just telling you what I've seen in my last 30 years as an attorney, the same mistakes people make. And what they do is they'll take money out of their house, they'll pay off their credit cards, and now they have zero balance, and now when they have a quote-unquote what they view as an emergency, which probably is just a regular expense like the kids need new shoes or the car needs new tires, and they start putting it on the credit cards, and soon they raise those credit card balances to the max, and they're back in the same place, and they've taken money out of their home. And here's the worst thing. Let's say you have $20,000 in credit card debt, and you pull that money out. Now you've taken an unsecured debt and made it secured, where before a creditor could not touch your house. Now you've put yourself in a position that if you can't make that second mortgage payment, you can lose your house. They can foreclose on it and take it. So really, really a bad mistake to take money out of your house to pay unsecured debts. Whereas to pay off a car, pay off credit cards, please don't do that. Well, again, I want to thank you for joining me today. Again, if you have any questions, please join us each week. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Just type them up on the comment part. And if you think of something during the week, shoot me an email. Email's real easy to remember, mark@markmartella.com. I'll be happy to answer your questions. If you have a topic that you'd like me to talk about, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll be happy to address that on upcoming shows. And again, I have some great free resources on the Money Matters website. You can just go to www.markmartella.com and go to the free resources page. And one of the best tools there is the Ultimate Budget Planning tool. And it's basically a 4-page spreadsheet that lets you, think about every single expense that you have and budget for that. And you'll see that things that you may consider are an emergency are not if you plan for it properly. So go to that page, and you'll be able to begin that process of bringing some sanity to your finances by taking control and tracking your expenses each week. So look for that budget planning tool. Again, all of these past episodes are on there, so scroll through that. You'll definitely find some great tips to help you out there. And remember, until next time, you have the power to choose to live a debt-free, stress-free life. Have a great week.